Watch Tanjiro during any fight in the second half of Demon Slayer, and you will notice something the show never stops to explain. He does not just learn techniques, he recovers memories. He does not just grow stronger, he becomes something that already existed once before. Demon Slayer is filled with details that look like background decoration until you line them up, and when you do, the story underneath becomes something completely different from what most casual viewers ever see. Today on Ahibosh, we are breaking down 7 theories so grounded in actual canon that the fandom has been arguing about them for years. These are not guesses. These are patterns the show planted and left for the people paying close attention. Theory 1. Tanjiro has lived this life before. There is a moment in the very first episode that most people blow past because the show does not slow down to highlight it. Tanjiro wakes up at Urokodaki's house after collapsing from the cold. Before he fully opens his eyes, he whispers a name he has never heard before, Sabito. He has no reason to know that name. No one has said it to him. The show treats it like a half-asleep mumble and moves on. But Sabito turns out to be a boy who died on final selection years before Tanjiro arrived. A boy who saved every other candidate in his year before being killed by the last remaining demon. A ghost Tanjiro encounters and fights during his own exam. He knew the name before he knew the person. The show never explains how. Yoriichi Tsugikuni created sun breathing, the original technique every other breathing style was eventually copied from. He lived hundreds of years before Tanjiro, and yet when Tanjiro masters sun breathing through the Hinokami Kagura, a ritual dance passed down through his family, the form is not close to Yoriichi's original. It is identical. Every movement, every transition, performed by a boy from a family of coal sellers with zero connection to the Demon Slayer core. Tanjiro's father, Tanjiro, performed this dance every New Year's without stopping, through freezing cold, for hours, with no formal training and no breathing technique protecting his body. A civilian performing what is functionally the most advanced combat method in the series. Perfectly, as a religious ritual. That is not coincidence. The Sengoku-era flashback confirms that Yoriichi personally knew a Kamado ancestor. He found this man near the mountain, taught him sun breathing, and trusted him with it before the technique was buried by the core. That ancestor is Tanjiro's direct bloodline. Yoriichi placed the most powerful thing he ever created inside a family so ordinary that Muzan would never look at them twice. Tanjiro is the result of that plan working across 400 years. Yoriichi was documented as someone who could not hate demons. He pitied them. He killed without cruelty. Tanjiro does this same thing by instinct from the very first demon he encounters, before anyone teaches him, before he has any reason to. His ability to read emotions through scent functions as a different version of what Yoriichi's transparent world allowed, reading opponents from the inside, understanding their state mid-fight. Different sense, same information. When Tanjiro faces Kokushibo, Yoriichi's twin brother, now one of the most powerful demons alive, Kokushibo stops mid-fight and stares. He says Tanjiro resembles someone. The show does not need to say who. The theory is this. Tanjiro was not born by accident. He was positioned. The Kamado bloodline was seeded through Yoriichi's relationship with that ancestor, preserved through the Hinokami Kagura across generations, built so that the right person would eventually emerge already carrying everything inside them without knowing it. Tanjiro does not learn sun breathing. He remembers it. That piece explains Tanjiro. But someone else in this story raises a bigger question, and the answer changes everything about how Muzan has been operating from the very beginning. Theory 2. Muzan was always hunting the Kamado family. Most people watch the first episode and accept the attack on Tanjiro's family as random tragedy. It was not random at all. Muzan has one fear: the possibility that someone will develop a demon slayer capable of using sun breathing at full power. Because sun breathing is the only thing that ever came close to killing him. Yoriichi left a scar on Muzan's body that never healed, from a wound that should have been fatal, survived only because Yoriichi died of old age before finishing what he started. Muzan spent centuries making sure sun breathing disappeared. He made sure the technique was quietly dropped and split into lesser forms. He tracks bloodlines. He tracks techniques. He is meticulous in a way that looks like paranoia until you understand what he is actually afraid of. The demon who attacked the Kamado family was not a wandering lesser demon. It was a direct subordinate acting with purpose. The Kamado family lived on a mountain far from any town, with no weapons and no connection to the core. There was no reason to target them unless someone was looking for them specifically. The Kamado family carried the Hinokami Kagura. They were the living container for sun breathing, even if no one knew it. The theory is that Muzan traced the bloodline and sent a demon to eliminate it before it produced someone dangerous. He was too late. Tanjiro was already gone that night, staying in town. He came home to find the aftermath and then spent the rest of the series becoming exactly the threat Muzan was trying to prevent. The detail that makes this land harder is what happened to Nezuko. She was not killed. She was turned into a demon. For a subordinate on a search and destroy mission, that is a strange choice. Unless the goal was to pull the Kamado bloodline under Muzan's control, rather than simply remove it. Nezuko then does something no demon has ever done. She resists Muzan's blood entirely. She develops without needing human blood to survive. She eventually overcomes sunlight, the one weakness every demon shares. Muzan's move to neutralize the Kamado bloodline accidentally created the exact thing that accelerated his defeat. The next theory suggests that someone inside the core knew all of this long before Tanjiro ever picked up a sword. Theory 3. Kagaya always knew how the war would end. Kagaya Ubuyashiki is calm in a way that goes beyond someone at peace with dying. He speaks to Muzan during their confrontation with a clarity that does not read like a man facing death. It reads like a man who already knows what comes after. The Ubuyashiki family maintained records going back to the Sengoku period. They knew about Yoriichi. They knew about the Kamado connection. When Tanjiro arrived carrying a demon sister who had not consumed a single human and was actively fighting Muzan's blood from the inside, the theory is that Kagaya understood immediately what he was looking at. The canon supports this through how differently he treats Tanjiro from the start. Allowing Nezuko to travel with a demon slayer contradicts every rule the core operates by. Kagaya not only permits it, but defends it in front of the Hashira, several of whom are ready to execute both Tanjiro and Nezuko on the spot. He does this without hesitation, as if the decision was made before the meeting began. His final act is to detonate himself and his wife at the exact moment Muzan arrives, using their deaths as a tactical opening for the Hashira. He does not flee. He uses the one thing he has, the fact that Muzan came to him, as a weapon. A man simply at peace with dying does not plan his death as a military operation. That level of calculation belongs to someone who had been working toward a specific outcome for a very long time and knew exactly where he fit inside it. The next theory moves from the humans running this war to the demon at the top of it, and what Muzan was actually building toward during his 1,000 years in the shadows. Before we move on, if you're enjoying this analysis, please consider subscribing. It helps the channel tremendously. Theory 4. Muzan was trying to complete his own transformation. Muzan became a demon by accident. A doctor gave him an experimental treatment using the blue spider lily when he was dying, and it worked. But it also made him unable to survive sunlight and dependent on human blood. He has spent over 1,000 years trying to undo those two things. The theory is that his goal was never simply power or immortality. He wanted to finish the transformation, to reach a state with a demon's strength and healing, but without the limitations the original process left behind. The canon evidence for this is in what he does when he learns Nezuko overcame sunlight. His entire behavior shifts. He stops everything and redirects every resource toward obtaining her, not to study her, but to consume her blood and absorb the adaptation she developed. This reveals what the 1,000-year experiment was actually about. Every demon he created, every attempt to produce stronger subordinates, was a search for the one mutation that would free him from sunlight. Nezuko produced that mutation entirely outside his control, inside the family he had tried to eliminate. The blue spider lily search runs underneath the whole series for the same reason. Muzan believes that consuming the plant in its complete form, rather than the partial treatment the doctor gave him, would finish what was started and remove the flaw the original transformation created. Tamayo, the demon doctor working against him, spent centuries studying demon biology to find a way to reverse demonization. While Muzan was trying to perfect the demon form, she was building the drug that would dissolve it from the inside. The final battle is where both projects collide, his absorption attempt meeting her poison working through him simultaneously. The next theory focuses on someone far less discussed than Muzan, whose role in the story is much larger than the series ever directly states. Theory 5. Kokushibo chose to lose. Kokushibo is the most powerful demon in the 12 Kazuki. He watched his twin brother Yoriichi be born with a gift so complete it made his own talent look ordinary. He spent his human life chasing that gap, and eventually became a demon specifically to keep living and keep chasing it. He lives for centuries. He trains without stopping. He reaches a level almost no demon slayer in any era could match. And yet, his final moments read differently from a warrior accepting defeat. His demon cells begin rejecting what he has become. His body starts reverting. The manga shows him seeing visions of Yoriichi, not with rage or grief, but with something closer to release. The gap between them, which he had spent his entire existence maintaining as the central point of his life, had nowhere left to go. The theory is that Kokushibo was not trying to survive that fight. He was trying to end it. He had lived far past any natural human life, had become something that violated everything he believed in, and had chased a dead man across centuries. With the pursuit finally over, there was nothing left to keep choosing. The canon detail that supports this is what he does not do during the fight. He holds back in ways that make little sense for the strongest demon under Muzan fighting for survival. His final transformation, where his body mutates beyond his control, reads less like a last resort and more like him simply stopping the effort of managing what he had become. Every choice Kokushibo ever made was a reaction to Yoriichi. When that reaction had nowhere left to go, neither did he. The next theory steps back from individual characters entirely and asks whether the Demon Slayer Corps was ever actually built to win this war. Theory 6. The Corps was built to lose and start over. The Demon Slayer Corps has existed for hundreds of years. It has trained Hashira, developed breathing techniques, and fought Muzan across multiple eras. It never came close to killing him, not once, until the final battle. The theory is that the Corps was structurally incapable of winning, not from lack of strength, but because the one technique that could actually kill Muzan was quietly removed from the organization and never recovered from the inside. Sun breathing was suppressed. Yoriichi, the man who nearly killed Muzan single-handedly, was pushed out of the Corps during his own lifetime. His technique was not passed down through official channels. It survived only because he personally gave it to a Kamado ancestor outside the system. Every generation of Hashira after him was trained on breathing styles that could fight demons effectively, but could not finish Muzan. The fandom reads this as Muzan's indirect influence working through the consequences of fear rather than direct control. Yoriichi made the rest of the Corps feel inadequate. He was too powerful, too different, and the organization quietly closed around the gap his removal left, training each new generation to fight well enough to maintain the war without ever being positioned to end it. What the Corps was actually doing across all those centuries was holding the line, a holding action disguised as a war. Tanjiro's generation breaks this not because they are the strongest generation. The series makes clear that previous eras had comparable talent. They break it because Tanjiro carries sun breathing back into the equation from outside the system, through a family that was never part of the Corps at all. The Corps was built to endure. Tanjiro was built to end it. The final theory is the one the fandom has argued about longest, and it concerns not what happened in the past, but what the ending of Demon Slayer actually means. Theory 7. The ending is a pause, not a finish. The ending of Demon Slayer shows the descendants of its main characters living in modern Japan. Tanjiro's reincarnation, Kanao's, Inosuke's, Zenitsu's, going to school, living normal lives, carrying faces that mirror their ancestors. The series frames this as a peaceful conclusion. The theory is that it is not a conclusion at all. It is a dormant phase. The reincarnation cycle shown at the end is not a reward. It is a pattern. The same souls cycling through connected lives across the Sengoku period, the Taisho period, and now the modern day. 3 points on a deliberate line. Same faces, same connections, same dynamics expressed in different circumstances. The canon support is in how deliberately the modern-day endings are constructed. The series goes out of its way to show specific characters and specific relationships carrying forward. That level of intentional framing does not exist to say these are random new people who happen to look alike. It exists to say the same thing continues. The theory holds that these souls did not rest when the war ended. They moved into a quieter phase, reborn into a world that does not currently need what they carry. If the conditions for that war return, so does the pattern. The fandom has never agreed on whether this is hopeful or unsettling. Some read it as these people finally getting to live without the weight. Others read it as the weight still being there, just not currently called upon. What the show confirms is that the reincarnations are not coincidental. What it deliberately does not confirm is whether the peace is permanent. The souls that shaped the outcome of this war carried forward into whatever comes next. Whether that is a conclusion or just a long pause between chapters, the show, on purpose, does not say. If you enjoyed this video essay, make sure to subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.